I was really surprised by what happened. The Prince William statement was so direct and clear. This is why I love not wearing makeup, it's just so nice to be myself. At 7:48 this morning, Prince William issued a statement that was really straightforward. Even the people closest to the family were shocked. The future relationship between the Crown and the Duchess of Sussex is now clear. There will be no way for her to come back. Those 19 words were not just closing a door, they were locking it forever. The statement that broke the silence was released through Kensington Palace's channel, and it had Prince William's name on it. This is rare. It showed how serious the situation was. The statement spread quickly around the world. It caused a big reaction. What made this moment different from other royal statements about the Sussexes was not just the finality of the language, but also who delivered it. Prince William had been quiet for a time, letting the palace speak for him. This time he spoke up personally. When the future king speaks in his voice about something this sensitive, the whole world understands that something big has happened. The BBC stopped its programming within 3 minutes to talk about the statement. The anchor, who had been covering the family for almost 30 years, read the statement twice before looking at the camera and saying, "This is unprecedented." The Prince of Wales just confirmed that Meghan will never come back to the family in any way. The weight of those words was heavy in the air. Sky News got a panel together to talk about it. The analysts were silent for a moment before one of them spoke up. William does not speak unless the matter is beyond negotiation. This is not a warning, it's not a boundary, it's a verdict. Across the ocean, where it was morning, news alerts were popping up on millions of screens. CNN's breaking news banner was simple and clear. Prince William confirms no return for Meghan Markle. CBS said it was the definitive royal statement in modern memory. On media, the confirmation was shared over 200,000 times within 15 minutes. Outside Kensington Palace, journalists who were there for coverage found themselves in the middle of a historic moment. One reporter described the scene to her camera crew saying, "You can feel it in the air, this is not speculation anymore, this is William." The king confirming that a former working royal will never be welcomed back. Inside, the palace senior staff were calm, but they knew this confirmation was coming. They had helped write the statement and prepare for the reaction. Seeing it released with William's name on, it brought a sense of clarity to the day. What struck observers was the absence of any soft language. Previous statements about the Sussexes had always included phrases like, "at this time" or "currently." This one was plain and clear. For viewers in Britain who remembered the tumultuous Diana years, William's confirmation felt almost shocking in its permanence. The monarchy had always left doors open, but not today. Today, William had personally made sure that this particular door would remain closed, locked, and never reopened. In the United States, where Meghan's story had always carried cultural resonance, the reaction was immediate and divided. Morning show hosts debated whether William's confirmation was justified or cruel. Social media erupted with both support and condemnation. But beneath all the noise, one truth was clear. The future King of England had publicly, personally, and permanently severed any possibility of Meghan's return to royal life. What exactly had pushed William to take this step? What pressures, provocations, and breaking points had accumulated to force a man known for his deliberation to speak so directly? The answer lies not in a moment, but in months of escalating tension that finally reached a threshold. The pressure that built through autumn was the result of a series of escalating pressures that converged to create a situation the palace could no longer manage. William's statement was not a reaction, it was the culmination of careful deliberation, pushed to its breaking point. Throughout September and October, Catherine had become increasingly troubled by a pattern she could no longer dismiss as coincidence. Every time she launched an initiative, articles would surface suggesting internal conflict, staff dissatisfaction, or personal struggles. During a meeting at Kensington Palace, Catherine finally voiced her concern directly to William. "Someone is coordinating this," she said, quietly reviewing a timeline that showed 10 negative articles appearing within 48 hours of her major announcements. This isn't media coverage, this is strategic interference. William had suspected much for weeks, but hearing Catherine articulate it with such clarity hardened something inside him. King Charles, meanwhile, was facing his mounting frustrations. Throughout October, he had received briefings showing that Sussex-related media cycles were consuming disproportionate amounts of palace resources. Communications teams were spending hours each week responding to narratives, and security teams were assessing risks created by inflammatory social media content. The turning point came in mid-November with a security briefing that shook the most experienced palace officials. Intelligence services had identified a concerning pattern of activity targeting Catherine specifically. Threats were being monitored, misinformation campaigns were being. The volume of coordinated negative messaging had reached levels that security professionals described as unprecedented for a working royal in the digital age. William received this briefing in a secure room at Kensington Palace. He read through the documentation, slowly, his face growing darker with each page. When he finished, he looked up at the security director, asked one question: how much of this traces back to pro-Sussex accounts? The answer confirmed what William had suspected. A significant percentage of the activity was linked to pro-Sussex accounts, and this was the final straw that led to his statement. International partners were asking questions. The Foreign Office had been getting questions from other countries like the United States and Canada. These questions were always polite. It was clear what they were really asking. The problems with the Sussex family were making it hard for the royal family to be an influence on culture and diplomacy. A senior American official told an official, "We need to know if the royal family is stable enough to work with. Now we are not sure." This message got to William through channels in late November. For a man who knew his role would require building complex international relationships based on trust, this message was very upsetting. The Sussex situation was not just making headlines in the newspapers anymore. It was also undermining the influence of Britain on the world stage. Anne, who was watching all of this with an practical mind, finally told William directly what she had been thinking for months. "You cannot protect everyone," she said. "At some point, you must choose between the person who is causing instability and the institution that serves millions of people. That choice should not be difficult." As November was ending and December was starting, William was surrounded by evidence that he could no longer ignore. There were coordinated attacks on his wife, strain on his father's health, and security concerns that needed attention. These problems were threatening Britain's standing in the world. Each problem alone might have been manageable. Together, they were too much. The time for hoping things would get better had passed. The time for setting boundaries had arrived. The 4 decisions that led to this point were not made in a dramatic moment. They were made over 6 weeks, each decision built on the last one. The first decision came from Princess Anne during a meeting with William in mid-October. She told him that the institution needed boundaries, not just suggestions or hopes for improvement. These boundaries needed to be formal, documented, and clear so they could not be misunderstood. Anne explained that without boundaries, every interaction with the Sussex family would become a negotiation. Every statement would be analyzed for hidden meanings. Every silence would be seen as either weak or hostile. Now the world must accept it too.